Welcome back. I'm your host, Sheila Butler of Butler Marketing Group, and today I'm talking with Barry Jacobson. Whether overseeing exclusive premium services at Disney, including Golden Oak and Club 33, or serving as Vice President of Special Events for the Dallas Cowboys, Barry has always focused on delivering world-class guest experiences. So grab your drink and join us as we uncover how to create meaningful, personalized luxury and premium experiences for your customers. This is Marketing Over Bourbon. Barry, thank you so much for being here. Cheers to you.
Cheers. It's great to be here. Thanks, Sheila.
Absolutely. We're drinking Hirsch today.
Oh, excellent. Okay, let's try that.
Oh,
really smooth.
that is good
really
stuff.
Nice. Great to be here.
So let's start with, I love starting with this, the career journey. So yours has been fantastic. You started as a recreation host, which is Disney's very fancy name for lifeguard, correct?
Correct,
right?
yes.
Okay, at the Polynesian. And you've worked in various roles and really expanded your career throughout your time at Disney. So what were the early years like, thinking back to the recreation days or even other roles? And how did that sort of pave the way in your career at Disney?
Well, I was very fortunate to be starting college and recognized that in order to pay my bills, I would have to find a job. And so I went out and I went to the casting center and didn't immediately get hired. They said there was no openings for recreation or lifeguard. I had my water safety instructor certificate, and I said, okay, well, I'll come back, because that's the job I really wanted to do. I got called the next day, immediate openings, come on back out. And I started as a recreation host when there was the Contemporary, the Polynesian, the golf resort, which is now Shades of Green, and the Magic Kingdom. Maybe 10,000 team members, 10,000 cast members, that's Disney speak for employees, on the property. But one thing I learned early on was, in order to be successful in any type of venture or any type of employment, is you have to be visible. You cannot hide. You have to find ways to make yourself visible to others in the organization. So one lesson I learned very early was to take on anything they would ask me to do. So again, starving freshmen in college, if they ever needed overtime, I would take it. When it was raining out as a lifeguard, they would shut operations down. But guess what? I would go and volunteer and work in housekeeping. I would go down to the Polynesian luau and help dish up the family-style dinner whenever they needed a volunteer to do that. And then I would also set up the church services on Sunday morning for 500 guests on the beach at the Polynesian. And that led to me becoming the master of ceremonies for the Easter egg hunt for about 3 years in a row at the Polynesian Resort when I got into leadership. So I thought early on that Disney just affords those opportunities to grow. When you think about the numerous roles that are there, you have a great opportunity to learn, and you also have an opportunity to grow. So that's what it was like early on. Very small property, but now look, there's 100,000 cast members at Walt Disney World.
And you can spend your entire career at Disney. You can be a lifer, as they say, right? Because there's so many different things to do and so many different divisions within the company. I love it.
Exactly.
All right, so let's skip to your time in Dallas. So you were recruited away from Disney to lead premium services for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Which is amazing. And you had responsibility for private suites and clubs and on-field experiences for concerts, monster truck, bull riding, right? Like everything under the sun. How did these experiences, besides just the content of them, how did that differ than your time with Disney parks?
Sure. I think the culmination of everything I did at Disney, so I spent 15 years in resort operations, 16 years in corporate meetings and events, and I knew that I wanted to grow. And I got a call one day from a headhunter, and he said, I've got a great role for you. Are you interested? It's the general manager of Legoland. And I said, sure, let's talk about it. And I was looking at the website from this recruiting company. I'd been with the company 30 years. And I saw this role, Vice President of Special Events for an NFL team. And I said, I think I'm better suited for that role. Yeah. And he goes, hold on, wait a minute. Can I call you right back? I said, sure. He called me back in 10 minutes and he said, are you able to get on a plane and come to Dallas? The Dallas Cowboys would like to talk to you on Monday. And I was like, sure. I was actually blown away that they would think to make me come and work for that incredible organization. Right. So you asked I wanted to give that lead up.
I love it.
And you asked the question, what was the difference? So I went from the finest name in family entertainment, which was a tagline for Disney, to the greatest name in sports entertainment, really the Dallas Cowboys. And I joined them in 1993. And I kind of likened it to going from a G-rated product to a PG-rated product. Not an R-rated product, but PG, more adult.
Maybe PG-13.
Maybe PG-13, absolutely. But the same principles at Disney were the same principles for the Dallas Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Jerry Jones believed in a quality product. He believed in delivering on the guest experience, and he believed on quality and keeping the place clean. And it was an extraordinary experience learning how to create experiences for 364 suites, 10 private clubs, including Mr. Jones's private club. And also my friends, when I left, said, oh, what are you going to do? It's only 8 NFL football games a year, home games. But of course, you alluded to it, monster trucks, bull riding, motocross, high school football starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, doesn't end till 11 o'clock at night. So there's constant activity going on, no different than Disney, right? Disney's 365 days a year. Yeah. I think maybe Cowboy Stadium might have closed down 2 days a year, but imagine the amount of energy and effort it goes into delivering just a football game on a Sunday with 80,000 fans. And people say that's the capacity of the stadium, but no, you're feeding both teams. You're feeding the cheerleaders, the snipers that are on the roof, the police department, the press. Yeah. So it's close to almost 100,000 people. So the activation that has to take place, one of the things that blew me away, one of the first times was they showed me the popcorn room. The popcorn room? What's the popcorn room?
I want a popcorn room.
So the room that we're in, maybe twice the size of this, where you begin popping popcorn in advance to be able to deliver to the fans on Sunday. And you have a whole team of people doing popcorn. So it was an extraordinary experience for me. And from a luxury side, the private clubs were amazing, and the suite holders were incredibly loyal, no different than a Disney fan, extraordinarily loyal to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones never knew I was a Minnesota Vikings fan, although I had all the gear. Outed. I had all the gear. I had everything because I represented the brand. I had all the silver and blue ties and all the Cowboys gear.
Be the brand, Barry.
Be the brand. I had the Cowboys gear, the Cowboys watch, you name it. And every Sunday I would show up and represent that brand. And so I'm a big believer in brand identity. Certainly Disney is an extraordinary brand, as are the Dallas Cowboys. And for me, the learnings were great, and the time I spent with the Cowboys was amazing. I got to do a Super Bowl. So I did a Super Bowl that featured the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers. Packers won, but I learned a great deal from that experience.
Amazing. We're going to talk more about tailoring those experiences, because I imagine the audience for a concert versus a high school football game versus monster truck, et cetera, the expectations of your guests are very different, and how to tailor those experiences must be very well crafted.
Exactly. In particular, high school football, there is no alcohol served, so completely different than
going back to that G rating.
Yes, any other product that was at that stadium.
Fair enough. So staying on the Dallas Cowboys, what lessons from your time with the Dallas Cowboys have really stayed with you, and how did they influence when you returned to Disney?
I think the Cowboys really taught me about managing labor and other expense. So the business side of that operation comes down to pennies. And when you think about the savings that you can administer by controlling your labor and your other expense, always drop that all drops to the bottom line. So I'll give you an example. The suites would open at 10 a.m., which is for a noon game. So a little bit different than our East Coast friends who see the games at 1 o'clock. And as a suite holder, you come at 10 o'clock. So I recognized by walking the suites that by 10:30 or quarter of 11 o'clock, many of the suite holders weren't there. But the standard was our suite attendants would arrive, set up their suite, and be standing out in front of their suite at 10 a.m. waiting for their guests to arrive.
Food ready, drinks ready.
Right. That was another thing on the quality end. I'll get to that. So what we did is we adjusted the labor and we saved hundreds of thousands of dollars rather than the suite attendant coming in at, let's say, 7:30 in the morning to get it ready by 10. They knew their suite holder. They were working in a particular suite. They knew their suite holder didn't come till 11:30. So we have them come in at 8:30 instead of 7:30, saving that hour of labor.
And the food.
And the food.
So that you're not overcooking
Correct. And the other thing that I noticed from a quality level, so imagine your suite is set and ready by 10 a.m. Everything is out. Sushi, dips, etc. And I said, why are we doing that? Your suite holder is not coming in till, let's even say 10:30 or 11. Let's keep those cold items in the refrigerator. And when the guest arrives, then we'll put them in. One last story, which is one of my favorite ones. Every game, there's thousands and thousands of hot dogs and hamburgers sold, and there's oftentimes hot dog buns and hamburger buns that are left over. So I saw that was happening, and so one of the things I did was meet with the chefs, and I go, here's an idea. I'd like to take the leftover hot dog and hamburger buns and turn them into some extraordinary bread pudding. Now, early on in my career, one of the chefs I worked with made this Butterfinger bread pudding, which is Butterfinger and bread and cream, and then it came with a creme anglaise on top. So Butterfinger, that great peanut butter and chocolate flavor, with creme anglaise, which is nothing more than melted vanilla ice cream. No disrespect. Yeah, no disrespect to my chefs.
It sounds like it would go very well with bourbon, by the way.
It does. So what we did is then utilize that dessert that we saved instead of either disposing all those hot dog or hamburger buns that hadn't been opened, that had already been purchased, that wouldn't go for the next game. We repurposed it. And we made this incredible bread pudding. And then our suite holders who spoke to our suite sales team, who spoke to our suite holders every game, would say, oh my gosh, you are such an amazing fan. You've spent X amount of dollars. We're going to provide you with complimentary dessert. And they said, what?
Love it.
Complimentary dessert? And we gave them the Butterfinger bread pudding or a traditional bread pudding, because some people don't like Butterfingers. And they were thrilled. Now, guess what? That translated to loyalty. That translated to fan satisfaction. Exclusivity. And they spent more money on food and beverage because they thought they were getting something for free.
I think it's incredibly important for people to know their numbers, right? Be it either marketing manager and understanding their budget and be able to forecast and really be close to those costs. I think that's where the efficiencies, they really do come down to nickels and pennies and so forth, and yet the savings are tremendous. And I love the brilliance in taking something that would have been waste and finding a new life for it. I also do not understand, by the way, how hot dogs and hot dog buns come in different numbers. So I guess people wouldn't have had their Butterfinger bread pudding if that had been solved.
Exactly.
So probably good.
And imagine the number of hot dog buns and hamburger buns in the warehouse that get delivered for a game on a Sunday. It is a city underneath Cowboy Stadium. Warehouse space is unbelievable.
Okay, so we're going to go from hot dog buns and hamburger buns to leadership at Golden Oak. So Golden Oak is this amazing Disney luxury community on Walt Disney World property. And it's really the combination of bringing together Disney storytelling and luxury living. So what was it like leading Golden Oak, because you were general manager there, and how did you ensure that the Disney magic was present in that very specific, unique setting?
Yes, Golden Oak, amazing. And I was fortunate enough to come on about a year and a half after the project had been announced, and there was ground, and there was a sales center, and some model homes, and some homes had actually been purchased. So when I was brought on, there was about maybe 18 homes that had been sold, and now that community is close to 350 homes on 347 acres, and it's a luxury home community, very exclusive. And one of the things that was important for me as I took on that role was to have a vision of how we were going to make decisions. And we came up with two clear thoughts. Is it building a sense of community, and is it driving the resident experience? And I hearkened back to my youth when I grew up in a very small town. And I also thought about Main Street USA and that lifestyle that I think people really crave, that neighborhood, that sense of community, and that camaraderie that goes along with living in a community. And so as we started to develop that, that was the mantra. You know, let's make this a really extraordinary place to live with all the Disney amenities, and then the exclusivity and the creativity to create a community where people just are in wonder of what we were doing every day. So it was a lot of customization, and some of the great things that we did. We had a custom ice cream bike made, because I had this vision that I wanted to have like the Good Humor Man back in the day, riding around the neighborhoods, and we provided the ice cream. But what we did is we went out and got a bike made with the Golden Oak branding on it, and two custom refrigerated coolers on either side. And we dressed up one of our food and beverage leaders in a white on white costume with a little hat, and he rode around the neighborhoods. The one thing I didn't get to do before I left, I really wanted to do a parade in that community, just like you would have a parade on Main Street.
Yes, please. Or like a 4th of July parade.
4th of July.
Right.
But we did so many things. We created Club Life, 25 curated bespoke events that were designed and created to bring families together, whether it was a turkey trot or a St. Patrick's Day run, 70s weekend, the annual holiday party. We did things to bring people together. And these people were already like-minded already. They loved Disney, but now we built these relationships. And that led to Disney Cruise, Adventure by Disney. They went as friends. And it was just an extraordinary experience for me to lead a great team of cast members to deliver that product.
That's fantastic. And I do think that it really starts with the vision, mission, values, and finding alignment, that defining those things, right? And then creating the experiences around it.
Exactly.
So for people who aren't familiar with Golden Oak, I've driven through it a few times to get to the Four Seasons, which is a lovely resort there. But give people a sense about what makes Golden Oak, besides the fact it's on Disney property and you can probably see Disney fireworks from your home, which is an amazing experience and gift. But give people a flavor about what does a home in Golden Oak look like? What is the community really all about?
Yeah, the amazing thing is there are about 8 architects, and you go through an architectural review board for each one of the houses, and the houses are beautifully designed and unique. Each one is unique. The one thing that Disney did really well was laying out the plots of land. And so imagine in one of the communities you have a beautiful home that's 3,200 square feet on a 1/4 of an acre of land. But the way it's situated, you wouldn't know your neighbors next door. That was brilliant. The other thing is the streets, the names of the community, they all relate back to Disney animators. Golden Oak itself is really named after Walt under his dreaming tree that was an oak tree. And another interesting thing that we did with the cast members there, so as you know, and many people that know about Disney, you go through a hiring process and you go through an orientation or called traditions.
Yep.
Well, beyond traditions, when you came to work at Golden Oak, you went through Taking Root, our own orientation program. And obviously the mighty oak, Golden Oak, but each cast member was part of the root system, and they understood their role and they understood their purpose. But Golden Oak is a place where people that love Disney can come together and be afforded the amenities of Disney through creative engagements with the breadth of the Walt Disney Company. So, for example, Kurt Russell, who has his own winery, and he has a relationship with Disney, and you can remember him from those early movies, and you can know that Kurt was with Walt Disney himself. We invited him to come, and we did a dinner with Kurt Russell. And then many people joined his winery, and now there's an annual trip every year to his winery. That's the type of living that goes on there. The people that live there want to be the first for everything. So when we would open a new attraction or we'd have a new movie come out with Disney, they were the first to see it. So those are some of the amenities and some of the exclusivity of living in this beautiful community. The landscaping is gorgeous. The sculptures, you know, when you first arrive, there's a sculpture of the Little Mermaid of Ariel that fits right in front of the a fountain and a water landscape waterfall. So you think you're seeing Ariel. We have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We have Bambi somewhere else. All of these designed by Walt Disney Imagineering and maintained by artisans. So it's not just sitting there. I mean, once a year, someone had to come out and specifically work on these sculptures to maintain their integrity.
I mean, all with the storytelling elegance of Disney woven throughout every very specifically designed element, right?
Correct.
So let's talk more about creating premium services. So you've worked an enormous amount on not just Golden Oak, but Disney Corporate, Board of Directors, Club 33, which you'll have to explain a little bit about in a hot second. What are the key ingredients for making these experiences exceptional, regardless of which audience, right? And what can businesses take from those and apply them when they think about exclusivity? Obviously, Board of Directors, all these different audiences, they're very different, but they all want that exclusivity. They want to feel like they're seen and heard and special.
You know, I have a phrase called luxury is the absence of worry. And when you talk about absence of worry, it's no different than any other business that's out there. How do you make it easy for me, the consumer, to do business with you? The level of luxury is, you think about it, that many of these people have worked very hard for achieving their level of ability to afford things that maybe others cannot. And they've worked really hard. And what I found with people at this level is you take away that worry. You have to have this ability to have this intuitive level of service to go beyond what they might not be thinking about that they want. Now, many people with wealth can buy whatever they want, but it's not about that. It's about making it easy for them to obtain the things they want. So we created a transportation system that picked people up at their homes at Golden Oak and took them directly to the Magic Kingdom or Disney's downtown Disney or other places. It was that extra level of service. And so throughout my career, I was very fortunate to work in various areas at Walt Disney World, whether it was resort special activities in the early days. That was a group that is responsible for picking up corporate executives and heads of states. I was lucky enough to work with presidents or Michael Jackson. I did a float boat cruise with Michael Jackson.
Princess Diana. Right?
I mean, I was very lucky, and as I think I shared with you, I am just a middle-class kid from Connecticut. I grew up in a small town, but early on in my life, I was dating somebody, and I was able to go dine in beautiful, fancy restaurants where they're cooking tableside, and service staff was in tuxedos. And I learned that this extra level of attention and detail helps create this experience that people walk away with and go, wow. Now, that's very nice, but I think that's what everybody is craving today.
Absolutely.
Is being treated as an individual. You're my customer right in front of me. And as you know, my tagline for my business, it's one magical interaction at a time. I have to focus on that guest in front of me. So with luxury, that's what they want. They want attention. They want you to solve their problem. And as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical, I used to tell my team, let's figure out how to do it.
And anticipate, which is what you're mentioning as well,
And
right?
one of the terms I use when I'm out speaking is guest service radar. Nothing drives me crazier than when you walk into a place, and let's just take a bar, for example, and the bartenders are oblivious that you're there. I would train the team to be constantly watching and seeing who comes in and seeing whose glass is half empty, or somebody has a frown on their face when their dish comes to them, or any little thing where you could see. And we learned that at Disney, when that guest is walking around, doesn't know where they're going with that map. How may I assist you? Right?
So
Let me get you to the
moments.
And so that's why I think businesses today need to think about that customer experience and every detail that goes into it, and make sure that their team understands that they have to take away that worry from the guests. So luxury is the absence of worry, and I think that's a great philosophy.
And I would add, because you mentioned this earlier, the management by walking around, right? Like seeing the things that other people aren't seeing, and then teaching them how to recognize that, right?
Exactly.
Amazing.
I have a quote, you can't manage from behind your desk. And I personally don't like to sit behind a desk. If you told me I had to look at Excel spreadsheets all day, I'd say forget about it. But I love being out and listening to my team members, my cast members, my employees, and getting feedback from them, and also getting feedback from the guests, and seeing what's going on. And you can help train while you're walking around others to see those things and give them stories that help drive the guest experience.
Right. And I would say that is your point of difference. Just like seeing the unseen and being there, like that to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that is one of your brand hallmarks.
I think you're right. Sometimes it's difficult to go out to dinner with me or go into a business. But where I think I do really well is just elevating the experience. And seeing those things that can just take it up an inch. You know, I used to say, let's go that extra mile. I think just go that extra inch. And it'll be seen by your employees, because they're the most important. Get them trained right, teach them what to do, give them the standards and behaviors. And then the customer will see it and they'll say, wow, this is different. This makes me feel good. I'm coming back.
By the way, so you and I have been out together, and I will say, I'm like, is Barry the mayor? Like, what? Because people see you and they come up to you and they want to thank you for the impact that you've made on their day, their life, their vacation. I mean, you're the man. You're the man, Barry.
I love, I will say, I'll give my mom credit for that. When you do when you do hear me speak, really, she taught me about hospitality. And hospitality to me is caring for others. And if you care about your business and you care about your employees, they're absolutely going to take care of the guests. And we learned that again at Disney. Cast equals guest equals financial, that lovely equation. Hire the right people, train them right, treat them right, make sure they understand what they're supposed to do every day. They in turn will take care of the guests, and then the profits will come.
Absolutely. But I love it when people come up to you and you get the love back. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about storytelling in luxury experiences. So we've touched a lot on Golden Oak. I want to go into, let's talk about Club 33 and really explain to people what that club is all about, what's the origin, and how do they integrate the art of Disney storytelling in those clubs to make these exceptional luxury premium experiences. And after explaining all that, how might businesses apply these lessons as well?
Sure.
I just give you like 5 questions, Barry.
Yes.
I'm gonna sip.
I'll try to handle all of those and remind me if I forget something, because the bourbon is really nice. Club 33 was actually started by Walt Disney himself at Disneyland. Walt recognized that he needed a place to entertain guests, and he recognized that he needed a place to entertain sponsors, celebrities, friends, and those that were helping him to get Disneyland off the ground. So he took a place inside New Orleans Square, and he created this private club. Now, there's many stories. There were, people think that there was 33 original sponsors of Disneyland. No, that's not the case. It became Club 33 because they needed a street address to be able to deliver alcohol to that area inside the park. So Rue 33, which is a street in
New Orleans,
in New Orleans, became Club 33. Yeah. That, I believe, is the true story.
We're sticking with it,
Although
Barry.
there is a lot of noise out there. 50 years later, Walt Disney World decides we're going to build a Club 33 at Walt Disney World. And we had to find locations. And we took existing locations around the park and recreated and reimagined with Walt Disney Imagineering these bespoke, unique, distinct Disney experiences and lounges and private clubs in each one of the parks. Each club is uniquely different. Each club has a different menu. Each club has different china, glass, and silverware.
A different story.
If you remember in American Adventure, we had a private club up there that was owned by one of the sponsors for many, many years. Coca-Cola had the private club up there, and they hosted their guests. We took that club, and with the magic of Walt Disney Imagineering and some other outside creatives, architects, created a club that honors Walt Disney and his love of cruising. And I can't give too much away.
Fair enough.
But when you come inside that club, imagine a mural on the ceiling of the old type navigation that sailors would use to find their way in the constellations. Constellation Club. I don't want to say too much. But inside each one of the club are bespoke artist pieces from the Disney archives that by becoming a member in Club 33, no one else gets to see it. There's a club above the Brown Derby inside Hollywood Studios. There's a club in the Magic Kingdom that's close to Adventureland that you would never know it's there unless you kind of knew where the Club 33 access was.
The standalone at Animal Kingdom Park.
Animal Kingdom Park has one as well. So these clubs were designed to take that Disney loyal fan who enjoys being together with great people. And again, just like Golden Oak, we created bespoke events for these folks to go to and built that sense of community, took them to like movie premieres or to the opening of different attractions or even the closing of an attraction. Where the Star Wars attraction, when it closed, they were invited and they were given a special ticket. Merchandise was also very popular with, as you know, with all our Disney fans. Things sell out immediately. But this group of individuals at Club 33 could get access to particular merchandise that was specifically designed by an artisan and get to it first.
I love it. And I think that that's where storytelling and curated luxury premium experiences really comes to life in a fresh way. So I'm going to give you a quick break from talking so I can thank our sponsors so you can enjoy your bourbon or water or whatever. But the D3 Brewing Company, makers of great craft beers like I have in front of me, they've been incredible sponsors of this show, and they also really understand the importance of creating connections and crafting something unforgettable, similar to Golden Oak Club 33. So whether you're toasting to a big idea, celebrating a small win, or just savoring a moment of inspiration, D3 Brewing Company has the perfect pour for every occasion. So with every sip, you're not just enjoying a finely crafted brew, you're also part of the D3 Disney Day Drinkers story, which is all around loyalty, fun, and bringing people together. So cheers to great beer, great conversations, and the magic of D3 Brewing. Thank you so much, D3 Brewing. Okay, all right, that was your hot break. Okay.
Thank you. One last example from my sports world. I talk to a lot of sports teams, and being a sports fan, we all love the nostalgia of our teams. These sports franchises have historical photographs from the glory days of these teams for years and years and years. So at Cowboys Stadium, I said, let's make our suite holders feel really special. So we took pictures from the archives and we gave them to the fans at every game that owned the suites. And it's a print. It's a printout, but it says on the back, there's a beautiful stamp from the archives of the Dallas Cowboys. We did the same thing at Golden Oak. We would do these amazing Disney dinners, and they would always leave with some kind of picture. So I have a picture of Dick Van Dyke singing with the Sherman Brothers. Now mine just happens to be signed by Dick Van Dyke.
Lovely.
But imagine that gift, that photograph being given to somebody who treasures a brand, and it costs nothing.
Correct.
Zero. So to your point, there's little things you can do that just make somebody go, wow.
So let's talk about how you transitioned into consulting and speaking, right? So you're running this tremendously successful consulting business. How do you work with organizations and teach them how to deliver these exceptional experiences? And what career moments, as you're working with clients, do you think you lean most on in order to tell that story and help them understand what do these exceptional experiences look like?
I truly believe that it all goes back to setting standards and behaviors and providing clarity. Many businesses think they want to get into business because they want to make money. But I think it really starts with, what are you really doing? What is the why behind your business? What's that common purpose? And then what's your brand promise? And Harvard Business School and then Disney utilize the chain of excellence.
Yes.
And it really truly is, what is the reason I'm in business, and what am I going to promise, and how am I going to do that? And then from a clarity level, leadership, I talk to businesses about leadership sets the standards and behaviors expected for the entire organization. So what are your standards? What are your behaviors? And then how do you consistently hold people accountable to what you say you're going to do? Then it's your employees, and truly hiring the right people starts way in advance in your marketing materials of the type of people that you're looking for. Disney does an extraordinary job at that. They tell you what they're looking for as it relates to the behaviors. And really, if you don't like people and you don't smile, you're not probably going to get a job at that organization.
Or you're not going to like it.
Or you're not going to last, right? It's hard. And some people are aversive to being this outwardly smiling, happy, enthusiastic person every single day. And repeating that over and over and over again, right? Welcome to small world. Welcome to small world. Hi, good morning.
How many
are
people
you?
in your party?
Yes. And so that's difficult for some people, and connecting with people is often hard, and that's okay. There's jobs for everybody in our world, but really hiring the right people and then making sure they understand their responsibilities every day. I love Disney's role and purpose, right? I was the general manager of Golden Oak. That was my role, but my purpose was to make my cast members happy and to make my guests happy. So I was the general manager of happiness, right? What a tough job.
I love it. Great title too. So I'm going to build on that a little bit around exceptional experiences and talk about service standards and a little bit about guest recovery, if you don't mind. And I'd love to get your thoughts. So back in the day, Boardwalk was a pretty new resort during the big Eisner era, right? Of like the decade, I forget what we call it. It's like a decade.
Disney decade.
Disney decade, thank you. And I can't recall if Charlie Hardiman was the GM at Boardwalk or if it was during the Ed Backler days, but Wayne Butler was working on service standards, and they brought in Ritchie, this external company, and they were used to having their service standards. And they said, but Disney has their own service standards. And so for every role at Boardwalk, Bell Services, the hostess at Spoodles back in the day, when you are brought to your table, you should have water delivered within 60 seconds. Someone should come and greet you at your table as the server, introduce themselves within X number of minutes, et cetera, et cetera. And defining those service standards for every single role so that they know this is what excellence looks like and this is your responsibility. And then to add to that, thinking about, because we're all human and we can't control everything. So while you have those service standards, when you fail to meet those standards and you disappoint a guest, the intent to return and the likelihood to recommend is far greater based upon your service recovery. So thoughts on those?
I would say that the service recovery for me was always the easy part, because I felt that anything I did or anything that my team members did would not shut down the Walt Disney Company. Mm-hmm. And things happen, things go wrong. Right. And so if you have to provide somebody with a guest room night because of a horrid mistake, or a dinner somewhere, or Disney teaches you, if somebody drops a popcorn, replace their popcorn.
Right.
Or if the ice cream cone in the 95-degree heat in the Magic Kingdom falls off of the cone and the kid starts crying, replace it. Goes back to storytelling and using those stories. So I love this story. When I worked at the Disney's Contemporary Resort, there was this beautiful restaurant up top called Top of the World, but now it's California Grill, big dinner shows and everything. And we had a guest who had a very bad problem, and I was an assistant front desk manager, and my leader, my boss, told the guest, and this is a great story, told the guest, why don't you and your party, so it was a party of 6, go up to the Top of the World, enjoy dinner, and we'll solve this problem. We're so sorry it happened. And I can't remember exactly what happened. And this is where the learning comes in. This is where the story comes in. Yeah. So this party of 6 adults proceeded to go to the Top of the World and drink 6 bottles of Dom Perignon. Now, at the time, that was probably an $85 bottle. Now, of course, it's close to $200. But there was a learning from that. The manager, the supervisor, my boss didn't do anything wrong. He did the right thing. Go up, enjoy dinner. We're sorry there was a mistake. But take it now later, we said, you know what? If we have to send somebody up for a dining experience, say, yes, please enjoy your dinner at the Top of the World. The sommelier will select a bottle of red wine and white wine that'll complement your meal. Okay? 2 bottles of wine. It was defined. Right. So you go back to, what are the standards?
Correct.
How do we manage these situations? So throughout your organization, so I talk to companies about this, what are those stories of success and what are those stories of mistakes or learnings that you can build upon that'll allow you to teach your team how to react at that moment in time when something goes wrong?
I remember back in the day, I don't know if they still have this or not, but there were cards. It was called No Strings Attached. I think it had Pinocchio on it, right? Yes. And you as a cast member, if you saw someone has a need, or they walked into the Emporium and they said, I just lost my hat on pick a ride, Space Mountain, whatever, right? I loved my Disney ball cap. Then you had this card, or you just saw them on Main Street. You're like, you know what? Pick another hat. Right? And you would just write your cost center on there and would you charge back to your cost center. And the guests could just go on their way. Like it's as simple as that. I think it's also around empowering your employees and your frontline folks to make decisions and benefit the guest experience.
Exactly.
In that moment in time.
Yeah. And I love your story about the boardwalk and the standards. And that's where companies, just even answering a phone properly. I love how Disney does it. Aloha at the Polynesian, howdy at Fort Wilderness, welcome home in the Disney Vacation Club properties. But one of the things I do as a consultant now is I will call businesses before I start working with them. And I'll start probing and asking questions. But the first thing I'll do is listen. How did they answer the phone? Yeah. You know, are they enunciating? Are they friendly? You know, Disney many years ago had a class called Put a Smile in Your Voice.
Daisy Duck was
That's
on
right.
like the phone memo pad,
Exactly.
right? Like when someone called and you were taking a message, it like literally said, put a smile in your voice.
And if you're working backstage, which is what we call in the offices, You had a mirror with a Mickey Mouse mirror with the ears and everything. So when you answered the phone, you saw yourself in the mirror, and and then, to go to your point, it said, put a smile in your voice. So those little details is what I do and speak to organizations about that make a difference in the overall customer experience.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about your guest speaking. So you are an incredibly sought after speaker. What is one key leadership lesson that you think every organization should embrace when it comes to creating impactful guest experiences?
I think everything you do has to be intentional. Every detail has to be looked at in the customer journey. Like I said, even answering the phone, or what your signage looks like, what your marketing looks like and your website looks like, way in advance. I'm going to judge you. I'm going to judge you on how easy was it for me to get online and get to your website, or what does it look like when I pull up into your parking lot? Is it clean? Are the windows clean when I first walk into your business? It's those little details that set the impression for that guest. And that's what I talk to them about, those little details throughout the entire customer journey and also the employee journey. How do you onboard your people? How do you make them understand why they're in their roles and what their purpose is, and why you're so glad that they've joined you? And imagine, I worked with one organization where their first day on the job, you got brought into this nondescript room with dry erase boards that had been used for the last 20 years, so you could still see the ugly writing, and a picture of their founder with no name underneath it, that the picture was like from 1890, and you didn't know who the guy was. So I helped them rebrand the entire room, no different than we do at Disney. I just recently had somebody who said, well, how do you bring that brand, they had 5 different sports franchises, into the office space? Because I was giving a speech in this room that was very nondescript. And I said, you have to have your brands everywhere.
Absolutely.
Every logo. You got to answer your phones with, go team go, whatever the name of that team is. I mean, there's just ways to do it that help bring that continuity into your organization. And that's what I talk about when I'm speaking.
I love it. And creating that culture as well.
Yes.
We're taking a quick bourbon break. So while glasses are refilled, let's talk about something as important as a good pour, your marketing. I'm the founder of Butler Marketing Group, and we help businesses, small, medium, and Fortune 500, navigate growth and transformation with marketing that's strategic, intentional, and built to leave a legacy. Whether you need branding, marketing strategy, loyalty, or a fractional chief marketing officer, we've got the perfect blend of services for your business. Contact Butler MG to get started. Now, back to the show.
So let's talk a little bit about tradition and innovation, right? So you've got this need to innovate and progress and evolve, and yet there's this honoring of tradition. How do you see the two coming together?
I'm a firm believer in traditions. It's not that I don't like change, but I think you have to listen to your customers, and they will tell you what they like and what they don't like and what they need. And I'm a purist, so I miss certain things at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa when I worked there that are no longer there, that were standards of excellence in food and beverage, like maybe the clam chowder down at Narcoossee's, or the Manhattan clam chowder at Narcoossee's, or the peanut butter.
The greeter at the front
greeter
door.
at the front. And so one of the things I talk to businesses about, keep innovating and keep traditions. And sometimes things go away because, unfortunately, and no disrespect to my friends in accounting or bean counting or the bottom line, someone says, oh, we can eliminate that. What I try to think about, and what I learned from a general manager who became the president of Walt Disney World, is save money to make money. Put the money in the right place that doesn't diminish the employee experience or the guest experience. So keep innovating. And I'm a big fan of disruption. If you think about Walt, he disrupted the amusement park business. Yeah. He changed it. He changed animation. Michael Eisner, the Disney decade, if you will, theatrical, cruise lines, food and beverage was all made out of a central warehouse at Disney many years ago, and that changed. And then Bob Iger, disruptor, the franchises and the uniqueness of the company and the streaming. Disrupt your business. Think about ways to innovate always. Bob Iger says, innovate or die. And I'm a big risk taker. Also try risk, because guess what? If you don't try something, it may work. And if it does work, great. And if it didn't, you made a mistake and you go back.
Don't do it again.
Don't do it again. And so many businesses, to your point, tradition or resting on your laurels. Tradition is the heritage of your company. Don't change things that really resonate with the customer experience or the employee experience for the sake of a nickel, dime, or penny. Right. Figure out ways to save money somewhere else so you don't lose the essence of your brand.
Right. And I think that you need to have the discernment to know the difference and to really have a pulse on your guests and your customers to really understand what that difference is, right? They will tell you, and they're not quiet.
And your employees will tell you too. Those frontline team members,
yes,
they know what's going on. So I always tell people that, sometimes leaders, think they know everything, and you don't. You got to ask questions. You got to talk to your frontline team. You got to talk to your leaders that are helping you to grow your business, and they will tell you how to be successful.
All right, so I've got a couple standard questions to wrap up our time together. The first one is, if you were a bourbon, which bourbon would you be and why? And you can pick a brand, you can pick just flavor notes,
sure,
whatever.
There's so many delicious bourbons that are out there, and kudos to those that can drink it straight and not on the rocks. I applaud you. But I think I'd be Maker's Mark.
Okay.
Maker's Mark is a traditional brand that has been around for a while. It's got a little bit of sweetness, kind of like me, but it's always professional and it's always kind to your palate. Mm-hmm. And so I think I'd say Maker's Mark.
I love it. I love it. And steeped in tradition. So thinking about, obviously, we both love Disney very much, given our time there. If you could go back and experience something at Disney and seeing it and smelling it and so forth for the first time again, all over, what would it be?
Well, I would encourage you to go to my website, because there's a picture of my mom. And she has her hand over her heart, and she has her Mickey Mouse ears on from probably 1956, 55, 56. And when and you talk about what I would want to experience, I would want to experience traditions again. Mm-hmm. That's set the standard and the level of engagement and helped me launch a career in hospitalities, because I truly believed in their brand promise. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me of my mom, and my name tag always said Mickey Mouse Club when we were able to put something on, because I remember watching the Mickey Mouse Club with my mother, who unfortunately passed away young. And traditions, and being given that name tag and being honored to wear it, because mm-hmm. the traditions put you in a spot where you're ready to go out and do an extraordinary job. And then having Mickey Mouse there to get a picture with your new name tag on and sending you out to the door into the world, I think that's what I would want to experience is traditions just one more time.
I love it. I love it. By the way, so I'll put this in the show notes, but what is your URL for your website?
BarryJacobsonConsulting.com.
Okay, well, there you go.
www.BarryJacobsonConsulting.com.
Good. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. We'll make sure that it's in the show notes so people know how to find you for consulting and guest speaking. All right, so last two questions. One is from a previous guest, which is, what is your approach to building a culture of excellence, and what steps can leaders take to achieve this?
I would say that first and foremost, you have to have a people-first philosophy. Mm-hmm. And it's really those around you as a leader who help you deliver on the services that you're promising to your guests. So be a people person, be out there with the public, but be out there with your team members side by side. There was never a time where I wouldn't dig a ditch next to my cast or my employees or my team members. So I think it's a people-first philosophy, and have that level of emotional intelligence to connect with the team members around you and understand that they're human beings. We always have something personal going on in our lives, and if you can show that care and that appreciation and respect for those around you, I think you'll be a successful leader, and I think that helps you build your culture of excellence.
Yes, exactly. So now is your opportunity to share with me, what question on your behalf would you like me to ask a future guest on Marketing Over Bourbon?
So here's the question.
I'm ready.
There's tons of noise out there, and there's a lot of like-minded commodities. So as a marketer, how do you showcase how you're deliberately different from everybody else? Whether it's your product, but really, how do you showcase your service?
Yeah.
That's my question.
I love it. Okay, you're singing my songs,
Excellent.
right? Speaking my language, as they say. All right, thank you so much for being here. So we're going to wrap this up. It's incredible, from your early days at Disney to Dallas Cowboys and Club 33 and Golden Oak, and now as a consultant and a guest speaker. Your ability to create these amazing, memorable experiences and innovate is incredible. And there are so many lessons that everyone can take from this to apply to their consulting businesses, their own businesses, their roles as well. So I'm very grateful for you being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful to the amazing team at Iron Pixel Studios. Y'all make this look like it's easy. It's not. It's because you guys are amazingly talented. So thank you. And thank you to D3 Brewing Company as well, makers of these amazing beers right in front of us and more than these, for sponsoring this episode of Marketing Over Bourbon. So for everyone watching, I hope that this conversation has sparked new ideas around balancing tradition and innovation, creating personalized and curated experiences, and applying these lessons to very diverse industries to elevate your work and your customer experience. If you enjoyed this, which I hope you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Marketing Over Bourbon. And remember, the best ideas often come when you take a moment to savor something great. So drinks up, Kungaloosh, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Holy smokes.